Raheem, I'm trying very hard not to get freaked out by that Boris Johnson press conference. The most benign explanation I can come up with is that, 99% of all politics is theatre, and this is just more proof of it. But on the other hand, it does seem to me potentially rather more sinister than that. What do you think is the real meaning of this woman stealing the show from Boris there?
Well, Mark, thank you for having me, by the way. Look, I think that the real malice here is not even with Daria Kalenyuk, who is a Ukrainian activist who was simply saying what you would expect from a Ukrainian activist, from her perspective, speaking to the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. The malice came from the corporate media in portraying this person as simply an objective, teary-eyed reporter who was simply, there giving some home truths to a man who is fundamentally out of touch on this issue. Now, Boris Johnson is out of touch on a whole raft of issues, but on this one in particular, I actually think that the Johnson government is going further and faster in terms of kind of this no-fly zone, pro-war narrative, actually, that we're seeing coming out of Western nations. So the problem here is actually what we're asked to believe rather than what happened in and of itself. And this keeps happening. It's happened throughout the pandemic. It's happened, obviously, with the Russiagate scenario over in the United States over the last several years. And it's now happening with the narrative surrounding the war in Ukraine. Remember, we were told on day one, these brave people on Snake Island said some curt things to a Russian ship before they were unceremoniously killed. We learned a couple of days later that they weren't killed, they were captured. We had the same thing with the model who was said to have taken up arms in defense of her country. We found out it was just a picture posed with an airsoft rifle and posted to her Instagram. She then came out and said, actually, I'm not fighting, I'm not on the front lines. And now we have it with this too. This is a World Economic Forum political advocate who is standing in front of the Prime Minister, writes columns, certainly opinion columns and analysis columns for left-wing news outlets, but is not a reporter. And the entire framing of this is designed to what? Make us feel emotional, make us feel afraid, make us feel empathy towards this cause. Well, I suggest that actually most good people already feel empathy towards the people of Ukraine who are being made to suffer as a result of geopolitical machinations that started over 10 years ago with Euromaidan and the expansionist EU imperialist mindset and NATO mindset. And I said at the time, I was in Kiev during Maidan, and I said at the time, this is necessarily going to lead to a war in our lifetimes, and here we are. So the grander part of all of this, and the reason we report this, and I resent, when we report things like this, people say, oh, well, this makes you pro-Putin. It doesn't make us pro-Putin. It makes us pro-truth. We're just trying to tell people who the actors really are, where their interests really lie, and why you should make decisions based on rationality and logic rather than decisions based on the emotions that Klaus Schwab wants you to feel. Most people feel bad for anybody caught up in these wars. We don't need agitprop to make us, good citizens.